Hey, good morning, Trinium friends, and welcome to this week's episode of Patio Ponderings. Just getting my mittens on. I'm Pastor Sue, and I'm so glad you decided to join me today. My patio this morning is actually the patio here at Trinium Lutheran Church, and the sun is just so glorious out here. I couldn't resist. It feels so good after so many gloomy days. And actually, light is part of what I've been thinking about this week. So that is awesome. So this week we were in the Gospel of Matthew and in chapters 5 through 7, which we consider the Sermon of the Mount. And specifically within that, on Sunday, we read the Beatitudes and then a few verses that go along with that. And the Beatitudes are those sayings that say, blessed are the poor, or in another translation, happy are the poor. Blessed are those who mourn. Happy are those who show mercy, that type of thing. You're maybe familiar with those. So what I have been thinking about specifically is this. So one of those sayings in the Beatitudes says, happy are those, or blessed are those who are humble, because they will inherit the earth. And I think we do tend to associate humility with faith. But then, right after these sayings, we get this section on, you are the light of the world. And the images given then have to do with being a city on a hill that shines its light for all to see, that you can't miss it, it's unavoidable. And also a lamp on a lampstand that shines light on everybody that's in a household. And then we are given to the instruction that we are to be that kind of a light that's unavoidable, a light that's out there that everyone can't help but seeing. And to me, it feels like there's some tension in being humble and having humility with being this light that is so out there, people can't avoid it. And so that's kind of what I've been trying to wrestle around with and to think that through. And there's two things that have kind of helped me think this through, and one comes from the Apostle Paul in his letter to the Romans. This is Romans chapter 12, verse 3. And here's what Paul says about, I think, this very subject. Because of the grace God gave me, I can say to each one of you, don't think of yourself more highly than you ought to think. There's the humility part, the be humble part. Instead, be reasonable, since God has measured out a portion of faith to each one of you. So God's work in us is about gifting us with a number of things. We have different skills. We each have our own passions that we've been given, each our own abilities. But we're also placed in a life where we each have our own spheres of influence and our spheres of power and ways in which to share those things with others, right? So while we think of ourselves appropriately in terms of not being better than somebody else or not being better than God for sure, we also have all these gifts and passions and skills and things that we are called to use for the sake of spreading Jesus' love in the world. And you know, that can be pretty hard. Doing that, putting ourselves out there, is not easy. A lot of us are uncomfortable with that. And it will drag us, sometimes kicking and screaming, outside of our comfort zone. But God does not assure us of comfort, that is for sure. We are called to shine the light that we have been given. And that brings me to the second thought that I've had about how we think about this, and that is understanding the source of all that we have been given. The source of what we have been given in terms of our skills and passions and talents is God, and all those things that we are able to do come from God, not from our own self and our own hard work. And similarly, the purpose then of those things is also about God and sharing God's love and living into the kingdom of God. And so I think those Paul's words and that idea of understanding source and purpose help us pull together both being humble and getting out there and being an unavoidable light. So what about you? How do you wrestle with that? How do you get out of your own comfort zone when it comes to sharing love with others, to love your neighbor? As always, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Stay warm, but enjoy the sunshine, and we'll see you on Sunday. Bye.